Hey, hi, hello, everyone. And thank you so much to everybody who is tuning in right now. I hope everybody can hear me. I think you can. But yeah, it's great to be here. I hope everyone is ready for a great festive evening tonight. So I hope you have your festive drinks, your festive snacks, and everything prepared and ready for this Waterstones online event. So my name is Gavin Hetherington, and I am a children's bookseller at Waterstones. I work at the Gateshead branch up in the Northeast. So if there is anybody up in the area, do pop in for a chat for some great recommendations. My team is literally so phenomenal and always ready to help. And I also have a YouTube channel called How to Train Your Gavin, where I also talk about books. So I am accompanied by three authors here tonight, and as much as I'd love to make this event about myself, that is why you are all here. And I do want to remind everyone that if you have a question for any of my authors, there is a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen that you can press, and I will dedicate around the last 15 or so minutes at the end of the event to ask all of your great questions. I cannot wait to see what you guys want to ask them. And that will also be some short readings from each of these authors' books, all spoiler free, of course. So without further ado, I would like to present to you the three incredible authors here tonight. So I am joined, and please give me a hand for Kiran Millwood Hargrave, Lucy Strange, and Sophie Anderson. Hi, Kiran.
Hi.
Hi, Lucy. Hi, Sophie.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, honestly, I am in absolute awe right now. I have three incredible, amazing people on my screen right now. Oh, hi, Sophie, you're here too. I'm joking. Obviously, I obviously mean you three. I'm joking. So yeah, how are you guys doing tonight? Are you ready for some chats about some great books?
Oh yeah.
It's so nice to see everyone.
It's lovely. This is very Christmassy as well. I like the effort.
Everyone has put in some nice effort tonight. I just have my festive jumper on. I don't know where my Santa hat's gone. I don't know where it's gone, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves to the audience. Maybe say about what your most recent book is about. So if Kiran, if you want to go ahead and start.
Hi everyone, I'm Kiran Millwood Hargrave and I've written 4 middle grade books so far. My latest is A Secret of Birds and Bone, which is a mystery story set in ancient Siena, and it has bone houses, it has horse races, and it has a hidden family secret.
Ooh, amazing. Lucy?
Hello, my name is Lucy Strange, and I'm the author of The Secret of Nightingale Wood, Our Castle by the Sea, and my latest here is The Ghost of Goswater, which is a spooky, wintry tale. It's set in 1899 in the Lake District, and our hero is Lady Agatha Asquith, who finds out the morning after her father dies that she is not, in fact, Lady Agatha Asquith at all, and that her real father is going to pick her up the following day.
Ooh. And last but not least, my Sophie.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Sophie and I wrote The House with Chicken Legs, The Girl Who Speaks Bear, and The Castle of Tangled Magic, which is my new one, and it's a magical doorway adventure based on Russian folklore.
Amazing. And I can attest that all of these books are absolutely brilliant. I love them with my whole heart, as I do all of you. So before we talk about all of these incredible books and why people should be reading them, I thought it would be really fun, because this is supposed to be a festive evening, if we chat about some Christmassy things and just all the things that you guys do at Christmas. So is there anything you guys do around Christmas time, any traditions that you cannot go a year without? Lucy, do you have anything that you specifically do?
Oh, quite traditional, I suppose. My mum plays the piano, so we like to sing a couple of carols at the piano. My elder brother and I have a tradition of leaving some wrapping of the presents till Christmas Eve, and we'll sit by the fire and wrap presents together on Christmas Eve. Yeah, quite traditional, cozy family Christmas.
Very nice. Sophie, do you have anything that you do with your family?
Yeah, it's quite chaotic, but we always read the night before Christmas on the night before Christmas, and the children remember it. And of all the things that we do, that's what they always remember. They want to read the night before Christmas on the night before Christmas.
Is it really a Christmas Eve if it's not chaotic? I mean, what about you, Kiran? Is your Christmas any kind of chaos from the family, or
we sort of revert, my brother and I revert to being very much the children of the household, and we leave out carrots for Santa's reindeer and mince pies, and we take great delight in pouring way too much alcohol for poor Santa to have to drink, and keeping our parents up really late is always really fun. And on the actual day, we tend to I now split it with my husband, and there are 6 children under 10 in his family, so that's always really exciting and sort of sensory overload. And then my family Christmas, it's me and my brother who are acting like we're under 10 and sort of saying, can we open another present now? So
that makes sense though, because all of you guys are like children's authors, and like Kiran, I mean, you're saying like you're kind of keeping that childhood wonder and whimsy about Christmas alive. So I guess, do you like transfer that kind of feeling into your writing? And then especially if you're writing during the holidays, it must be something that is probably easy to do as children's authors. So if Kiran, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so I suppose when I'm writing at Christmas, I tend to like to set up an atmosphere whenever I'm writing a book. So it does depend more on the atmosphere of the book than sort of the time of year. But I will always have, for example, a candle burning. And obviously at Christmas, it gets dark so much earlier. So my timetable sort of flips. So I'll go for a walk before it gets dark, and then I'll come back and I'll sort of cozy up with my cat on my lap and I'll write. And I do enjoy Christmas for writing, because in summer it sort of feels like a bit of a shame to be inside, being a hermit on your own, whereas in winter it feels completely appropriate to just be sort of curled up all cozy inside and writing stories, because I love what Sophie's family do, reading that particular story and really thinking about those classic tales that really capture the imagination on cold nights.
Nice. Sophie, are you the same?
Yeah, Christmas is probably the one time of year that I don't write, because I'm quite a workaholic and I'll work all year, and then obviously I have 4 children and Christmas is very special to them. So I have promised them this year I'm going to take a whole 2 weeks off and not write at all. So I'm working quite hard at the moment, but at the end of next week I'm going to stop, and for 2 whole weeks I'm going to hide my laptop and just not write and just have some family time. So
a bit of self-care, I think, is needed. Yeah, definitely, especially after this. Yeah, you've definitely allowed that. Lucy, are you writing this holiday, or do you ever write during the holidays?
I usually write whenever I can, whenever I've got the opportunity to. And obviously with lockdown and everything, my toddler's been around the house a lot more, so writing when he's asleep really is the key thing. But I don't think I'll be writing over the few days of Christmas. But I completely agree with Kiran that winter is the best time of year for book lovers, isn't it? Whether you're reading or writing, because you've got every excuse to get really cozy at home, and the wind will be roaring outside over the chimney, and it'll be raining or sleeting, whatever it's doing, and you can just really you've got every excuse to curl up with a lovely book, or to write a lovely book.
Fair. I do believe that you got, because one thing that I love during the holidays is when we get presents, and I believe maybe you guys have probably mine's got lost in the post, but I believe you guys might have a little bit of a Secret Santa thing going on here.
Oh, Gavin, I feel terrible.
No, shouldn't. It's fine. I buy myself presents all the time, so it's all good. Who wants, right, so I've heard you guys have a little bit of a Secret Santa thing going on for books that you recommend during Christmas. So who wants to open theirs first is what I want to know. And who gave you it?
I'm slightly concerned, to be honest, because mine does not feel like a book. I'm slightly concerned that Susan the Goose, for anyone who's already read Ghost of Goldwater, has been posted to me by Lucy. So is it okay if I open it?
Open it, Kiran, open it.
With my dad around, Susan the Goose is not going to last at Christmas.
Oh no!
Poor Susan.
Nothing engraved.
It's Mog's Christmas.
It's Mog's Christmas. Now then, I wholeheartedly recommend Mog's Christmas. I'm actually giving it to someone this year, but I mustn't say who, just in case they were watching. It's just like all Judith Kerr's writing. It is warm and funny and
Aww.
gorgeous. The cat psychology is crucial, obviously, in this story, and so it's a perfect present. Do you see what I did there? A perfect present for cat lovers of all ages, and I hope you enjoy it, Kiran.
I love cats, so I definitely will. I'm going to put Mog down here.
Who's next? Because I love this. I love watching people open presents. Who's next?
Well, I'll do this one. This is from Kiran, I think. Beautifully wrapped.
You'll be in no doubt when you open it that it's from me.
Wow, look. It is
so shiny.
So shiny. It's his Dark Materials trilogy by Philip Pullman with the gorgeous covers by Melissa Castellan.
These covers, I think, they are just the most successful covers so far. So it didn't feel too cheeky choosing this, because I know you'll have read it. I know basically everyone will have read it, but
I have so many copies of it, you can't have enough.
Exactly, you just really can't. And especially Northern Lights is such perfect winter reading, I think. That journey north just really captures the imagination, and Melissa's done an extraordinary job with the covers.
She has, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is it
Lucy,
me?
you must
Is it
be
me?
dying. Yeah, you must be dying to
Look at that ribbon.
Look at this. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what it is yet, Sophie, but I'm very excited. This is where I realise I've picked up the wrong present. I open a cheese grater. Okay. Are we ready? Oh, I know what it. I can only see a corner of it, and I know what it is. Look.
You smoothie.
I know, but you have to. I love wintry books, in in winter, and the way past winter is set in winter. Really spooky. Yeah. So it's beautifully atmospheric. It's perfect for this time of year. It's a thrilling adventure, perfect for curling up with and reading. And at its heart, it has the love of sisters. So it has family at its heart as well. So it's gorgeous, perfect for everybody of all ages.
Thank you. How lovely. A present for me as well. 2 presents.
It is a lovely edition too, as well, actually.
Yes,
It's
beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Helen Crawford White did that cover. It's gorgeous.
I'm tempted to buy the American copy as well, because it has illustrations.
The O'Hara sisters. It's extraordinary. And I've just, Sophie, actually, just slightly diverting, I've just received the Russian edition, and it's all fully illustrated. So I will definitely send a copy of that to you, because it is beautiful.
Ooh, yeah, Sophie's absolutely happy with that. So I guess that's the festive stuff out of the way, which I loved seeing you guys faces light up when you saw what you each got each other. So those are the books you would recommend for Christmas for people to get 100%, and you can get them all from Waterstones as well, which is excellent. So should we? I mean, I wanted to section the readings in this, because I do want people to also realize that your guys' books are also perfect for Christmas too. So I would love for you guys to just maybe for a minute or two, just to read, and we're going to do it a bit differently. So we are going to have somebody read somebody else's book. We know how it works ish, so it's fine. But I believe the first one we're going to read first, and I picked this one first because I think the atmosphere of it, the setting, is like perfect for the wintry season. So the first one is going to be, Sophie's got it, The Ghost of Goswater by Lucy Strange, of course. So Sophie, do you want to take it away? Do you have a section that you're reading out? Did you pick one, Lucy?
Yes. Section for me. I really hope I do it justice.
Oh, I'm sure you will.
It's wintry, but it's not very Christmassy. I'll warn you now.
It's curling up, Yeah. Anyway, I will just read it. So I love this. I just want to say, actually, this book has probably the most villainous villain ever, isn't it? Like Cousin Clarence. When I read it, I had to keep reading, because I had to hear him get his comeuppance. Yeah. Anyway, right. The boats are here, waiting to take us out to Skelter Island, the cemetery island in the middle of the lake. We move down the jetty in silence, and one by one we are helped into the boats by black-gloved servants. I don't recognise anyone apart from Cousin Clarence, and he does not choose to look at me. He is talking to an elderly lady wearing a large brimmed black hat and a necklace heavy with emeralds. They walk carefully along the jetty, arm in arm. The lady seems to be very frail. I noticed that Clarence is wearing one of Father's most expensive cravats, the orange one with the pheasants. I don't think it is at all the sort of thing one should wear to a funeral. I look down at the frosty slats of the jetty. The dark wood is etched with patterns of ice, silvery veins and frost thorns. My black patent footsteps turn them to grey mush. My breath is a shiver of steam in the cold morning air. The first boats are already leaving, the oars pushing through the cold, still water with even little splashes. When, eventually, I am the only one left standing there on the jetty, something horrible happens. I don't know why, but instead of looking down at the boat I am about to climb aboard, I glance at the boat that has just cast off, and I find that the elderly lady who was talking to cousin Clarence is looking back at me. Her eyes are staring, huge and fixed, and her mouth opens in an O of terror. I stare back at her, frozen. The elderly lady's hand goes up to her throat as if she is suffocating, and then she collapses into the bottom of the boat. A blonde woman sitting next to her screams in fright, and the sound pierces the cold air, ringing around the high, rocky banks of the lake until it feels as if the fells themselves are screeching. A gulp of cormorants takes to the sky in a black, splashing panic. Suddenly, people are shouting and fussing, and the boat rocks dangerously as people stand to look and move to help. Is she dead? The blonde woman asks. Is she dead? Someone has lifted the elderly lady out of the boat and placed her on the jetty just a few feet away from where I am standing. Her body is limp and her face is grey. Yes, she is dead.
Bravissima.
Thank you, Sophie.
Well,
I live in the lake. My eldest brother stole it back this morning. But when I read it, it so captures the atmosphere of the Lake District of Paris. It's stunning book.
I was going to say you do live in the Lake District, so you must, yeah.
I was picturing where it was, and have you heard about the ghost of Westwater, Lucy?
No, that's weird.
There is a ghost of another lake called Westwater, but I also pictured this being set around Grasmere. I don't know if that's where you visited. But I kept, like sort of picturing like where it would be, and I pictured the house near Buttermere, but it is very Lake District, and it's very spooky, and it's very wonderful, and I love the villain. I love a villain I can really hate.
Oh yeah. We love to hate Clarence. It's a sort of hodgepodge of different places around the lakes, but the lake itself is sort of based on Ullswater.
Oh right, that's my closest.
And it's because it's quite rugged and dramatic up in that part of the lakes. But
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That was lovely. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
Gave you chills. Well, I guess because we've just had a reading from The Ghost of Goswater then, Lucy, can you describe your book in 5 words? I feel like this, if you guys hadn't known about it, about this question, you might not have been able to prepare for
5.
it.
Okay.
5 or less.
I've got spooky, wintry, gothic mystery.
Oh yes.
Ooh.
Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great.
Do you need another one? Spooky, wintry, goosey. Is that an adjective?
Goosey, yeah.
Let's have that. Spooky, wintry, goosey, gothic mystery.
I love it. That's going to be, that's on the reprinting of this book. That's what it's going to be on the cover. Yeah. Good. What about you, Kiran? Can you describe your book in 5 words or less?
So I actually wrote mine down because I'm so bad at this sort of thing. So I did family secrets, ancient mysteries, birds.
The birds, just get in there.
Surprise at the end.
Yeah,
Boom.
almost like a jump scare. You also have a really great villain. You also have a really great villain in yours as well. So I feel like you guys know how to write villains too, which is
I think they're the funnest to write. Yeah. I find can really pour all your hatred into them. It's quite good.
Yeah, they're definitely like quite fun to read actually as well. Just I guess it's kind of like a safe scare because obviously they're not like real in our world, but when there's a villainous character in a middle grade novel, it kind of I don't know what it is about that. It's rather interactive in that sense. But sorry, Sophie, you as well. Do you want to describe Castle of Tangled Magic in 5 words or less?
I'm going to go with magical. Magical. I wrote fairy tale, but that's 1 word, okay? Adventure.
Yeah.
And then I wrote quirky, because I think my books are always a little bit quirky. And then fun. I really hope this is a fun one. So I've got magical, fairy tale, adventure, quirky, and fun.
I like that. And if you guys hadn't known that question in advance, would you have struggled? I think Kiran said she probably would have.
Yeah.
I would have just gone birds, bones, birds, bones, birds.
Secret.
Castle,
Secrets.
Tangled, yeah. I guess it's almost like trying to write a synopsis of your own book, isn't it? Like
so hard, yeah.
Hate it.
I can imagine, which is kind of why I feel like you'll hate the next question, because I do want like everyone to like read these incredible books, and I do want you guys to not, cheers to all of you guys.
Sorry, I am listening, Gab.
You just wanted a cheers face.
Merry almost Christmas.
Almost Christmas. So yeah, you guys don't have to be modest or anything. Sell yourself with these books and why people should be putting them on their Christmas wish list and things. So I would love to know, like, just from your perspective, like why you think it would be a great book for people to read, which, I mean, I can attest to why they would all be. And they each all have their incredible strengths that I feel like a lot of people would benefit from reading them. But I would love to know just from you guys. So, I mean, I'll probably inflate everyone's ego here, but I'll start with Sophie this time. If you want to say why you think people should read Castle Tangled Magic in 2020.
I think it would make a great Christmas present because it's full of love and friendship and family, and it has a really strong message about being kind to others, which is what this season is all about.
And home, the true meaning of home.
Yeah, home. Thank you. Yeah, it does. It's very much inspired by it's the first book I wrote where there's like a full, like a family with a mum and a dad and siblings. So it's very much about family and home, and yeah.
Dawn, you'll make me cry again. That ending, honestly.
Don't. I cannot ever cope with Sophie's endings. I cannot ever.
There's a big secret, isn't in this ending? Yeah.
It is. Oh, I can't stop thinking about it. Anyways, yeah, it is. Yeah, everyone who's definitely a great, magical, amazing ending. What about you, Lucy? Why should people pick up Frosted Glasswater?
I'd like to, because 3 books are very different, but then I was thinking actually there's quite a few things that they have got in common. There's magic in all of them, and family is really important in all of them as well. But I think that because mine and Kiran's are set in the past, and because Sophie's has got this wonderful sort of magical fantasy world that's part of the story as well, I think they're all really good escapist books, and I think we really need that this year of all years, just to get away from everything and just really lose yourself in a wonderful adventure story. I also think all of them are good presents for readers of all ages, not just younger readers. So I'd say that about all 3. My book in particular, I would say, because it is a wintry story, it's got that kind of fireside, sitting by a good crackling log fire, snuggled up under a blanket with your hot chocolate. It's got that feeling to it as well. So I think that's part of why this would be a good Christmas present.
Yeah, for kids and adults, and yeah, same for everyone here. It's perfect for all age ranges. So Kiran, do you want to say why people should pick up Secret of Birds and Bone, which I always end up saying with a posh accent at the end? Bone. I don't know why. The Secret of Birds and Bone. That's how I say it in the shop. So
I absolutely agree that all these books would be wonderful Christmas presents. Not least, I know that it's shallow, but not least because of the covers. I think they look so beautiful. Anyone would be so grateful to open these beautifully foiled, illustrated, designed books. Obviously, Secret of Birds and Bone is a hardback, so you can whack someone over the head if they're annoying you at Christmas. But also, I think what all of these books have, and what I've tried to do in, foil birds, foil magpies, I think what I really tried to do with this book and what all these books share is this real storytelling quality, that they're meant to be read aloud, they're meant to be shared. It's just sort of a gather round and share these these stories feeling to them. And that's definitely something. Sophie is doing such a beautiful job of showcasing Helen Crawford White's beautiful beautiful designs. So I absolutely think that books are the best gift at Christmas and for any occasion, and I just think that these three in particular would be high on anyone's wish list.
I 100% agree. I think you're right. And especially with you saying opening a present up, seeing those gorgeous covers, and I guess just knowing that anybody can escape to the worlds that you guys create. Sophie, honestly, you should be one of those people. You know what? It's like,
I'm
like
loving
a show
it.
person who's like,
It's
yeah,
so
showing off.
beautiful.
It is
really
so,
is.
they've really thrown.
I wish you could, the whole thing is just, you know, it's just
It's
gorgeous.
really beautiful.
And
It's so
Kiran's
lovely.
imagery, what I love about this one is the imagery and the cleverness of all the bone creations in it. It fills your head with these amazing images, and it's beautiful to look at as well. It's lovely.
Yeah, should we shout out for the designers as well?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is another
Yes.
Helen Crawford White.
Helen Crawford White.
Go Helen. Ooh.
I would take mine off the shelves, but all of the snow will fall off. So they're just like stuck there for now.
And Melissa is a
Gorgeous.
genius.
This one's illustrated by Sarah
Sarah Solomon.
But all my books have been designed by Catherine Millichap, and she's amazing. And the internals, there's Sarah Cronin as well, helps out with does the internal design. So all these design teams, it's amazing how much work.
So much work.
Yeah, so many
Such a team effort.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Takes a village. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of some fantastic books, I guess another reading is in order. So this time I think it'll be Secret of Birds and Born.
Is it me? It's me.
Yeah, Lucy.
Getting the
yay.
Lucy Strange treatment.
Yay. Show
I
us
have
why you
warmed
should
up.
be an audiobook narrator. Come on, show us.
Okay, are we sitting comfortably?
Oh, yes.
In the grounds of a ruined monastery on the outskirts of Siena, a girl awoke in a charnel house. All about her were skeletons. By the thin shafts of light flitting in from the slits in the ribcage shutters, she could see the bed about her built from tibias and fibulas. A moon-white skull, still warm from last night's fire, was cupped over her feet, for here the nights were clear and cool. Over her head draped a canopy of gold-dipped toe bones in great gilded wreaths, and teeth were set like stars in the chinks in the walls. But the girl was not afraid. This house, built of old and golden bone, was her home, and today was her 12th birthday. No one else was awake. Her mother's and brother's beds along the other walls were still, and the house was silent as a tomb. Sophia lay calm in her bone bed and smiled. Soon Corvith, their crow, would squawk for breakfast, and her brother Ermin, always tired and sleeping long into the mornings, would grumble at the noise. And Mama would rise and stoke the fire for lavender, honey and milk. There would be presents, and perhaps Mama would change her mind about letting them go to the palio. Thump. Sophia stopped smiling. She sat up and immediately bumped her head on the headboard. She had lately grown too tall for her bed, and Mama hadn't yet made it bigger. Thump. She got up more slowly, rubbing the sore spot on her crown, and turned towards the closed door that led to their mother's workshop.
Ooh. Chills again. You guys should, like, if you weren't children's book authors, I feel like you could do some audiobook narration.
Have you heard Lucy's narration? It's amazing.
I do my own.
Yeah,
Really?
it's
I didn't know that.
incredible.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
I
cool.
haven't recorded. I'm recording the audiobook for this in January. It's been put back a bit because of lockdown and whatnot, but I'm recording the audiobook for this in January. It should be out in March.
So
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do.
I can imagine, especially your own stories as well. That's pretty awesome. So
But isn't that a lovely introduction?
yeah, literally, I was just about to ask him. I'll start with Kiran because we've just had a reading of Secret of Birds and Born. Like just like the inspirations behind it, because that is like such a lovely like start to. I mean, it's lovely. It's very atmospheric and it sets the
But
tone.
it's odd. It's
That's
so
the tone,
odd,
yeah.
isn't it? You're
It-
going,
yeah.
what? She's what?
Yeah, very intriguing. So like, where did the ideas come from? Like, how did you start writing it?
I stole the first line from my mother-in-law. So my mother and father-in-law have a house in the Tuscan Hills because my life is amazing, and just an hour outside Siena. And my mother-in-law sent me a postcard saying, in the grounds of a ruined monastery just outside Siena, there's a charnel house. And I was like, spark. I'm sure that the others can relate to this, that just when you see an image that really hits you, or you go to a place that really does something. And it was the same with that line. I just was like, that's a story, that's the start of a story. So obviously I shuffled it a bit, but that's where all the ingredients started to come from and unraveled from. And Siena is this beautiful, if you know, look it up on the internet, it's such a beautiful place. And there's this black and white pattern to it that are the sort of the colours of the city. And it just made me think of bones, and everything started to knit together in this wonderful way that it does when you first get that idea and you don't ruin it by writing anything down. And you just have all these ideas and you just fall in love with your idea. And it was just such an inspiring place to be. And I was very lucky actually to get there this year, despite everything, and sort of re-experience that magic.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. It must be quite nice as well, actually being immersed in a place too, because I mean, you guys do have some, like, not crazy settings, but like some beautiful settings. I mean, crazy. I mean, Sophie, yours can be a little bit like very imaginative, and Castle Mila, for instance, is like such a huge, incredible, magical, wonderful place. So I guess I'll go to you next, Sophie. What was it that inspired Castle Mila and the Castle of Tangled Magic? Oh, it's so beautiful.
Ooh.
This is what like Kiran said about the spark. When I saw this building, this is the Church of Transfiguration on Kizzy Island in Russia, and it's hundreds of years old. And just like Castle Mila, it was built without any nails, because all the pieces fit together. It's made entirely of wood. So, but I'd always wanted to write, because I do reimaginings of fairy tales. I always wanted to work with Ruslan and Ludmilla, which is a fairy tale written in verse by Alexander Pushkin, and it's really quirky and it's really bonkers, and I love it. And I always wanted to do something with it, and I wasn't really sure what. And then when I saw this, I just had a spark, and my imagination started running, and that's where it came from, basically. And there was another. I don't have a picture. The other thing was spirits from Slavic mythology, which I've always loved, the idea of domovoi, which are house spirits.
Oh, feel it!
And
he's amazing.
And water spirits. So I wanted to put those in as well. And because I knew it was going to be a magical doorway adventure, when you see those domes of that church, you think, well, that they have to contain magic, don't they? They have to contain a magical door. And in that land, I can just put everything that I want. I can stuff it with all the bizarre imaginary creations that, you know. And then Pushkin was, I would say he's like me, but obviously that's I'm not, you know what I mean. But he borrows from folklore, so lots of the things in his poem are borrowed from folklore, and then so I borrowed from him, who borrowed from folklore, and it's this whole link in a chain, and it's just lovely. And then there's of course my family. My family inspired it too, because they inspire everything that I do. And that's it. I just talk really fast. I know. Sorry.
Really lovely, actually. So, Lucy, other than the fact that you were inspired to name one of your characters after me.
Yeah, that's the most important bit.
That is the most important bit. So what was it that inspired you to write The Ghost of Crosswater?
Well, it's a funny one, because I'd had the idea that the idea of a 12-year-old character being told they're not the person they've always believed themselves to be, and their true father is about to collect them from their family home. I'd had that idea for years and years, and I couldn't make it fly. I couldn't do anything with it. And the idea I'd been playing with was actually set on Guernsey during the Second World War. So it was a very different story. But I still couldn't make it work. And then a couple of years ago, 2017, actually went on holiday to the Lake District. It's a place I'd been on holiday to as a child as well. And something just went bang in my head, and it was suddenly I had the concept, I had the character, but I had the landscape as well. And I realized that actually it wasn't a small intimate island sort of a story. It was a big dramatic Gothic story that needed a big dramatic landscape to make it work. And it's the first time I've sort of realized actually sometimes it's not just one idea. It's like sort of it was like trying to start a fire. Sorry, I know what I'm trying to say here. Bear with me on this metaphor. It's like trying to start a fire with one stick, but what I really needed was another idea to sort of rub them together, and then the friction created the sparks, and then the fire of the story. And I'll stop the metaphor.
That's
I
why
think
you're
that's
right.
exactly it. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. It's putting two things next to each other and rubbing them together, and everyone else thinks you're mad until you actually manage to get it to light, and then they're like, oh, now I see what you're doing.
Well,
Thank you.
yeah, I guess, I mean, Lucy, that was like an absolutely beautiful metaphor there. I mean, wow, it's like quite nice that you all have written quite a lot of books by now as well. Actually, there's quite an extensive bibliography so far, which is, I mean, awesome, because that means we can, when we finish one book, we can start again. But after everything that's happened like this year and stuff, I don't know when you guys wrote your books, if it was like during this year, if it was just before this year and you maybe edited it during this year, or if you're working on anything now. Like, how did writing this new book compare to all of the books that came before it? Like, does it get any easier as writers, or is there more pressure because you probably all like, well, you've definitely have, you've all built a fan base and people are clamoring for your next book. Is there like a lot of pressure for like when say for example Lucy, like when Ghost of Water came out, when you'd already written 2 books before that, was there a lot of pressure, or was it easy for you to write another book?
I don't think it was pressure. I don't think pressure was an issue. What I think every book's different. I don't think it necessarily gets easier as such. I think every book is a completely different creature, and sort of it comes to life in a completely different way. My first book, The Secret of Nightingale Wood, I'm quite indulgent with my words, and I have to be reined in a bit. Sometimes my editor Rachel says I'm allowed 1 simile on a page, and I really overwrote it. So Nightingale Wood was 106,000 words, and we had cut 46,000 words from the book. So that was hard. That was a mammoth task. And so with the Castle by the Sea and then Goswater, I thought, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I'm going to keep it tight. I'm going to keep it pacey and plotty. And I really underwrote it. So I turned in 50,000 words. And my editor was saying, well, you know, these characters, if we're going to care about them, they need a bit more meat on them. They need a bit of fleshing out. So I ended up having to add about 15,000 words. I don't think it gets easier. It's just different. The thing that was harder, obviously, about this one is this. I did edit this during the spring lockdown this year, and it was a case of my partner taking our little boy out for a walk, out for his hour's walk, and I'd write, and then he'd have his nap, and I'd write, and he'd go to bed at night, and I'd edit, and so yeah, that made it harder.
I can imagine. What about you, Sophie? Did you have to edit Castle Tangled Magic this year?
Yeah, I've lost all track of time. It's like that, isn't it? In lockdown, I've lost all track of time. I feel like, because I've been working on the next one, I feel like I've been doing that for about 400 years now. Yeah, but I think what Lucy said is spot on. I don't think it has got easier, but I think each one of them is different and has its own challenges. But I think over the last, I've published 3 and I'm working on 1 now, and I think that I've learned to trust the process, and I understand the process a lot more now, and I think I'm a little bit more confident that when I come to the challenges, at least I know that I can get over them. So writing is like a roller coaster, and there are days when I think I've written the best thing in the world, and then the next day I look at it and I think, gosh, this is really terrible. But I can remind myself that this is how I feel, and I'll get through it, and I just have to sit and carry on writing. And you know, so I've just learned to trust the process, so I feel a little bit more confident that I can get through it. But each one is different. I think also I like to challenge myself a little bit with each one. So the one I'm working on at the moment, I'm trying to put some song lyrics in that may or may not work. So I'm learning about songwriting, and I'm trying to do some different timelines and things, and it may not work, and my editor might say just, but you know, but it's nice to try different things as well and experiment.
Well, that's an exclusive right there as well.
It is, yeah. It might not be in the book, obviously. My editor might say, Sophie, that's awful.
Fair.
It's fun, you know.
Do you think the same as well, Kiran, or?
Absolutely. I wrote this 2 years ago now and sort of put it away, which is always actually very nice. It's a longer period of time than I've had for any of my books, and it is nice to have that time to sort of to come back to it. And you know, it's absolutely a constant learning process, writing books. It's not that it gets easier, it's exactly as Sophie said, it's that the confidence that you will be able to overcome the immense challenges that each book brings. You will be able to do it, and that's invaluable. And whenever I talk to people who want to write, I have to I really want to shake them and just say, you know, it is hard. It's hard, and there are some days when it's boring too, which is the worst sort of day, and you're just moving your character from A to B. But you live for those moments, those sparks that Lucy was talking about, where it all comes together, and you remember why you were doing this, and those moments of magic are so extraordinary that it's worth all the hard bits. But it's definitely always hard. It's just that it's just so wonderful as well. So it's completely addictive.
Oh, so this is why I wish this event was like 5 hours long, because I would love to like delve into all of that and almost be like a therapist. Like, why is it like therapy? You know,
I need
and all
one.
that. Yeah, I'm not qualified, but I mean, I'm willing to listen.
Give it a go. Give it a go.
I'll give it a go. I'm sure I'll be great at it. So we'll go into the final reading now then, and I will also remind anyone if they have any questions that they would like to do, because I'll ask one final question after this last reading, and then I'll ask the viewer questions as well. So yeah, the little Q&A button at the bottom. So we've got Castle Tangled Magic now by Sophie Anderson, read by the incredible Kiran Millwood Hargrave. Do you want to take it away?
Yes, so it's an absolute joy, actually. I quickly read it through to myself before, because I obviously read it in my head, and it's just, I think what's so wonderful about each of Sophie's stories is they're so generous. Like, each chapter has enough for a whole book, and it's so dense with imagination. And this in particular, you can really tell that you had real fun with this. I'm sure it wasn't all fun, but you can tell that you wanted to really make the most of your incredible imagination, and this will give you a taste of that. So this is chapter 12, The Land of Forbidden Magic. The land through the doorway is beautiful and shining, iridescent with colour. My eyes widen as I lean forwards and try to take it all in. The sky is pale blue and vast, but it curves like one of the castle's domes. And the sun is a thin crescent, tiny and distant. This place is nothing like my world. Beneath the sky are rolling green and gold fields, full of swaying grasses and delicate, long-stalked flowers that I'd never seen before. Scattered oak trees rise from the ground, huge and leafy, and an enormous ocean glistens to my left. There is no muddy, rocky or sandy shore. Gentle waves wash straight onto the fields with a rhythmic swishing, making the plants dance dreamlike in the ebb and flow. A wide, meandering river burbles to my right. Warm air carrying the crisp scents of brackish water and ocean creatures flows over me, and distant splashing sounds tickle my ears. This is incredible, I whisper, leaning even further through the doorway, half expecting the land to vanish and Castle Mila's roof to reappear. What is this place? I wish I could keep reading. Don't you just want to know what this place is?
That was gorgeous.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
It was. Oh, and I want to remind everyone that they can buy these books. Like, seriously, they're just so magical and wonderful. All three of them, incredible. I just want to like reread them now. These are the kind of books that makes you want to reread them. Thank you for showing them as well, Sophie. Like, honestly, such a lovely assistant. So I'll ask my final question, and then I do want to get into the viewer questions as well, because I've seen some trickle in on the Q&A. So I know you guys will probably have to be really vague with this, because you won't know what you can say or how much you can say. But you know, coming away from all of this, I would love to know, and I'm sure everyone else would. And what is next for you guys? So if I start with Kiran, then Lucy, then Sophie, like what are you guys up to in 2021? What can we look forward to?
So I have a new middle grade coming out, which I really cannot say much about at all, but it's be out in September, and it's highly illustrated. It's actually more than just illustrated, it's sort of told through words and pictures, and my husband's done the art for it. And it's really the book of my heart. It's a sort of a love letter to children like me, and it's about the relationships between parents and children, and hope, and how love really can heal, and I'm in love with it, and I can't wait to start talking about it in more detail.
I'm sure we'll all love it, to be fair.
I hope so.
Lucy?
Well, I am working on my 4th book for Chicken House, which will hopefully be out at the end of next year. What can I tell you? We haven't got a title. It's less historical fiction than my others. I've gone a bit more fantasy, this sort of dark fantasy world. It's set in an isolated rural community in which reading and writing are forbidden, and the landscape sort of inspired by the Romney Marshes, salt marshes down on towards the south coast of England, and it's got 6 sisters, and it's got witchcraft and curses.
Oh, I love witchcraft. Yes.
Yay!
There we go.
I'm sold. And Sophie?
I'm going to be a bit cheeky. I'm going to tell you about 2 books I'm excited about next year as well.
Oh.
These are proof, so there's nicer covers. But in January, B.B. Alston's debut is coming out, called Amari and the Night Brothers. And this is January, and I'm really excited about it. So you should all buy that in January. And I read Rumeysa.
Oh, yes.
Have you read it? Hafiza.
No, I saw you talk about it, and it looks incredible.
I love it. I think it's April, and it's absolutely wonderful. It just totally blew me away. And
I'm writing these down.
You have to read this. So those are my 2 recommendations. And then a little bit later in the year, I shall be able to talk about what I'm working on, which I just gave you a little sneak. But it's another middle grade, and it's based on Russian folklore again. And my editor might change all of it, but I think it's going to be about the power of friendship to change the world, and it's going to be set on a floating island, unless that gets cut. And I don't, maybe I shouldn't tell you this, but there are people called Alkonovs. Does anyone know what Alkonovs are? They're from Russian folklore, and they're like bird people. So, but I said too much already. So.
If Rebecca cuts the floating island, I'm going to be furious.
I'm so excited about it because I put 3 floating islands, and I thought, oh, maybe I can sell them more books on the other floating islands. But again, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. It's all very, very. Rebecca hasn't seen any of it yet, so it all might change. But I'll just these are ready. So Rumeysa in April, buy it. By Radia Hafiza and B.B. Alston's in January as well. So yes.
And yeah, you can pre-order them from Waterstones, which I've already done.
Yes, do it.
So I do want to get into the viewer questions. I might be a little 5 minutes over time, maybe. Sorry about that, guys. So the first question by Justin age 10 is, what was your favorite book as a child?
I have it somewhere.
You've got it.
Oh.
In Family Moomin Troll.
I love the Moomins. I love Tove Jansson. She's probably my favourite writer ever. And these are the first books that I think I read by myself, and I have the whole series is here. They've been recently, recently-ish, republished by Sawtop Books, and the editions are just really, really, really gorgeous. And yeah, they're my favourite ever. About the only books that I reread every year.
And I still need to read them. I promise you, Sophie, I will.
And you'll love it when you do it.
I bet I will. What about you, Lucy?
It's really hard to pick one from a childhood of being a bookworm, but one that I came back to over and over again was The Secret Garden, Frances Hodgson Burnett, and I actually had an audio book of that I used to listen to every night. And I've got a theory that words sort of seeped into my unconscious as I drifted off to sleep each night. So I love The Secret Garden. I think there's a film of that. There's a new film coming out.
Yeah.
Yes. Which looks really, really good. And her other book, A Little Princess, which I loved, and it's actually sort of indirectly referenced in The Ghost of Goswater, because it's the idea of sort of the riches to rags kind of story. But yeah, I think her books are just wonderful.
Ooh. And Kiran?
I'm not going to be the boring Northern Lights fangirl, so I'm going to pick a different book. I really loved A Necklace of Raindrops, but yeah, okay, Northern Lights was but A Necklace of Raindrops, a short story collection by Joan Aiken. I just remember completely captured my imagination, and I had this beautiful illustrated edition, and I think it might have even been my mum's or something. It was it's sort of falling apart at the seams. It has those beautiful marbled, sort of coloured marbled effect. And Joan Aiken was just, the way that she told us, I've just always loved storytellers. I know that sounds obvious as someone who loves books, but it's not about plot or imagery or anything. It's just about feeling like you're in the hands of someone who just wants to tell you a really great story. And I think that's what Joan Aiken has in bucket loads. So I absolutely love A Necklace of Raindrops. Yeah.
All three of you have that book in bucket loads as well. So all great storytellers. Eva, age 7, asks, how much do you write each day? Lucy, do you have a set amount, or do you just like go with the flow?
Is my editor listening? It depends. On a good day, around about 1,000 words that I'm happy with. But I'm terrible for fiddling. I'll fiddle with it until I'm happy with it, and I know I should just keep moving forwards and get the story down. But yeah, 1,000 good-ish words on a good day.
That sounds pretty good. Kiran, do you? I mean, as well, because you write different age ranges as well. Does it differ between adult, young adult, and middle grade?
Yeah, it sort of does, because in adult books there is a lot more.
Oh, you got it!
Oh, you've got Necklace of Raindrops!
Oh,
It's so beautiful.
Beautiful.
I love it so much. I've got the sort of navy hardback. If anyone's got that, that's just thinking of that book makes me feel delighted. It's magic. It completely varies, and I'm like a cat. I will go a month, 2 months without writing anything, and then I will sort of attack the manuscript with everything I have. So it can, in those stages, you do not want to be around me. I sort of go dead behind the eyes, and I'm just sort of like this at my screen. And on those days, it could be like 5,000 to 8,000 and just pouring out of me. But at other stage, it will be nothing, and I will be. But it's never nothing. That's the great thing about being a writer. If if you have your eyes open and you're living in the world, there are stories everywhere. So it's all research. It all counts.
Do you think, Kiran, when you go through the say a month without writing, do you feel like the story's kind of cooking in your head? Yeah.
Always. I'm always working through the kinks, and I'm sort of awful to live with, actually, because I don't listen. I sort of just go off into my little dream world, and I'll be doing something, but I'm not there. I'm somewhere else. So not very pleasant to be around, to be honest.
Are you the same as well, Sophie? Are you pleasant to be around when you're in the zone?
I totally relate to that. It's really hard to switch off from it, and because my head is always in the world, and so it is. I think I am quite distracted. I try not to be, but it's hard, especially when you're first drafting as well. But I've given up counting words, because I used to do that, and I kind of think of it now that each day I like to make progress with the story, and that might be no words. Like Kiran said, I might just be thinking about it, because sometimes I think you have to stop writing and just think to let it straighten out. And then, like Kiran said, I couldn't do 8,000 words a day, but some days I will write lots, maybe 1,000. Other days I might lose 1,000 words, if I'm editing or something. But all the time I just think, as long as I'm making progress, if the story is moving forwards, or if the story is taking shape, making a better shape, which sometimes involves cutting words or losing whole chapters. But as long as I'm making progress, then I'm kind of happy. And
I'll drink to that, Sophie. That's very reassuring. I'm gonna write that on a post-it note and put it on my laptop.
Yeah, it's That's it. And sometimes you do just have to stop writing to think. Absolutely, yeah. Which is, another part of the, I say I'm taking 2 weeks off to be with the family at Christmas, but really I'm just give my brain
You're secretly writing in your head.
Secretly, I'm letting the story take shape in my head. So much happens subconsciously. I'm a firm believer that a lot happens subconsciously, and you have to give it time to stew. Sometimes, yeah. But obviously, some days you have to write lots of words as well.
Nice. Well, speaking of guest writers, Layla, age 11 or 12, asked, I would like to be an author for children around my age, 11 or 12. Do you have any tips? So, Sophie, do you have any tips for a young Layla?
My 3 tips are always read lots, because the best way to learn how to construct a good story is to read lots of good stories. And going back to subconsciously, so much seeps in if you read lots and then write lots. Write short stories, write poems, write songs, write letters, write newspaper articles, just write lots of stuff, because you have to write so much stuff to find your own voice. And the third one is the tricky one that took me 10 years to learn, which is the editing bit, which is that after you've written something, you should leave it alone for as long as you can, and then look at it again and try to rewrite it, and not just change little words for better words, but try to rewrite the entire thing a different way, so from a different point of view, or start somewhere else, or get rid of a few characters and chuck a few more characters in, but really try to rewrite it, because that's a really good skill to have as well, basically. So read, write, and rewrite.
Very nice. Lucy, are you on the same wavelength as that?
Yeah, absolutely. All these things are true. I think I would. I often tell young readers that a good way to sort of train your brain is to be a noticer. So to become the sort of person who notice things, little tiny details in the world, and about people and things and the weather, and also and when you notice things, trying to find the perfect words to pin them down on the page. It's quite a good sort of training for a writer's brain. And being bold with language as well, never trying not to settle for something that feels obvious or cliched, and trying to be bold with your language. Those are my top tips.
And Kiran?
Stealing all those top tips. And my addition, I suppose, would be, don't get obsessed. And this kind of ties in with rewriting. Don't get obsessed with perfection. Like, there is so much time for you to make your story exactly how you want it to be. I really am a firm believer in just get it out of you. Just really put it down on the page. And if you're struggling to get started, I like to draw a map and to come at it a different way, and to start to look at it, because I write adventure stories. If I'm looking at a map, I can start to go on the adventure with my characters through the landscape that I'm creating. So it would be, don't get obsessed with perfection, draw a map, and write, rewrite, read, be a noticer. steal ideas.
Plagiarize. I'm writing this down. I'll ask one last question then, because I 2 people have asked this one, so I feel like I should ask it. It's kind of evil, but also we could plug in these new books if the answer lines up. So both Jane and Imogen have asked, and this is a bit evil, which is your favorite book that you have written? And I know it's like a child. I'm sure they're all like children, but I mean, if you just say like your newest books, I'm sure that the other ones won't feel offended. Lucy, do you have a favorite? Or I guess you probably love them all for different reasons.
It is actually this one.
Oh, good.
But don't tell the other one.
I won't tell them.
No, it is actually this one. And I think it's partly because it was actually the most fun to write. And as I was writing it, I actually felt like a reader. I had that, that feeling you have when you're reading a book and really enjoying it, and you can't wait to get back to it and find out what happens next. And I had that feeling, I had that sense of momentum as I was writing it. So it was this one was my most fun to write. It might be also partly because it's I wasn't having to worry so much about historical accuracy and detail. I felt a bit freer with this one. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a good answer. And also because it's got a character in there named after me too.
That's
What about you,
most
Kiran?
important.
Most important. I'll bring that up.
I genuinely, I think and hope that I'm becoming a better writer with each book. So I do think A Secret of Birds and Bone is my best book, but my favourite book is The Island at the End of Everything, because it's sort of my middle child. It goes sort of unnoticed, but it's got so much of my heart in it, and all the lessons that I wrote in that are sort of the lessons that I've then carried through into my other books. But if I was saying, which book should you pick up to see if you like my writing, it would definitely be A Secret of Birds and Bone, because I think I'm becoming more and more myself with each book that I write. And if you want to know sort of where I'm at, it would always be pick up my latest one.
I love it. And what about you, Sophie?
No, Sophie, I did it. Lucy did it. You have to.
I can't do it. Children always ask
Sophie's choice. It's literally Sophie.
It's awful.
I love this one because it helped me get over grief of people I love who died. And I love this one because it has the between chapter stories that were really, really difficult to write and get right. And so this was my hardest book to write, so I'm probably most proud of it. And I love this one. I agree with what Kiran said about, I do hope my writing's getting better. So if I was forced, I would probably say then, my writing's getting better. But they're all very different, and I love them all.
I love them all too.
Same. There is not one bad book among this group here, so they're all wonderful in their own way. And I'm so sorry if I didn't get to everyone's question. There were actually quite a lot. So you can follow all of the authors on social media. I'm sure if you have a burning question, they will love to answer them on Twitter or anywhere like that. But yeah, I just want to say a huge, 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 huge thank you to everyone who tuned in and for taking the time out of their day to see us four, mainly you three, of course, but me as well. And yeah, huge thank you to the wonderful Kiran Millwood Hargrave, Lucy Strange, and Sophie Anderson for joining me